I looked horrible, but I didn't care. Like, I just remember feeling like Beyonce, even though I looked like Jay-Z.
I just wanted to look like a lumberjack so that lesbians would know that I was available and interested.
Even if I'd come out of the closet, my wardrobe was still in the closet.
I was going to nightclubs in fluoro leotards. I thought I looked gorgeous, but looking back, it wasn't so gorgeous.
I remember in my early 20s, I bought a shirt. It had S on one arm, X on the other, and E on the chest. And just, you'd go like this, you'd dance along and you'd go like this, this push. It was fantastic.
First time I started exploring my fashion and queer identity was when I was young, and I used to go through, not my mum's wardrobe, because my mum was like plain Jane, never wore heels, never wore makeup, because she's naturally beautiful, but my nana was a drag queen. She had like disco sequin fabric always, and she would always sew costumes or looks for her Sunday finest look at church, and she would always be dressed for the nines, hats, everything. And I remember rummaging through her closet one day because we lived with her, and wearing one of her jackets, which actually was this silhouette in disco sequin, and just living my life inside of her closet.
The idea of the kind of the tight fitting kind of lycra shirt that was blue and purple, and my Doc Martens, which were, I think was it 12 or 15 whole Doc Martens in purple, and these long purple shorts, and I loved myself sick in them. And this sense of going, I can be whatever I want. I can wear my sex shirt, or I can wear my lycra shirt. I bought a pair of hot pants. I didn't go that far. They were just for home.
I started expressing my queer identity through fashion as soon as I thought I was ready to come out. I bought this hat. It's just this navy New York hat, but the NY is in a rainbow. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so gay right now.
I wore a Fijian a costume for the first time, traditional dress, which is called a Sulu Chamba. And I put it on, and I looked in the mirror, and somehow I just felt that my nana would be very happy that I looked like a lady, and I felt like a lady.
In lesbian culture, they talk about flannels being a big thing. So my closet was like full of flannels of different shapes and sizes and colors, and I would like constantly wear them with different graphic t-shirts, and I had 4 piercings in each ear and an industrial. It was like, I'm queer, trust me, I'm queer.
I had this habit of going into my dad's wardrobe and just picking out random shirts. And my dad I love my dad, but he has no sense of fashion, obviously. And I even at one point, he works at he does sugar factory stuff, and he wears tradie things. And I literally put that on for a party because it just felt, I was like, yeah, this is the top. And I think from a very young age, I was always told by mum, you just would always reach for the, quote unquote, boy clothing. I was always like, well, I'm dressing for comfort. I'm not dressing for anything else. And I'm not trying to impress a guy.
We just wore, I suppose, and I still do, just comfort is the most important thing. Pockets and comfort. It wasn't so much fashion, it was just practicality. And of course, the old overalls and the coveralls came in very, very handy as an expression.
I've always been a bit of a chameleon. I've gone through my hipster stages, I've gone through my himbo stages. Not sure what the next one will be, but it's always been pretty firmly anchored in my queerness, because I just want to try new things. And I think that's one of the beauties about being queer, is that you're sort of given this blank slate to express yourself, this blank slate to show yourself to the world however you want to be.
I wore this to essentially every gig that I did for about 2 years. It's just a way to be like, I am woman, hear me roar. And then I think we kind of came out the other side of like COVID lockdown, and I just sort of put her away. People still talk about it, and like if they're texting me about it, it'll be like capital T, capital S, the skirt. Because it was also probably not even just on stage. I probably just wore this every time I bloody went out. It was like a little signifier to be like, I'm allowed in this bathroom, or something like that. But she's a good girl. She served me well. We'll get her in a frame with like a little commemorative plaque at some point.
First time I got into drag, and this is like, so because I'm so like goal orientated, the only way that I would do it is if I was performing. Never did makeup before like that, never put a wig down, never wore a costume, and I remember it took us 3 hours to get dressed. And I remember for the first time in my entire life, after getting into drag, leaving the house, I felt scared. I think for the first time I felt like people were gonna see me, yeah, because it literally felt like I was introducing myself to myself. And it just took me back. It took me back to all of the insults that my father sort of would say to me, all my male cousins, or, you know, back to high school when people, you know, would call me Queen Kong. Like I was just sitting there going, oh my God, do I really want to do this? That one singular performance in that horrible divey bar to 3 people was more fulfilling for me personally than any show that I'd done in my whole career.
I'm a musician, and when I perform on stage, I become the Gaijin Empress. I wear like a white-based Chinese operatic makeup with elements of modern drag in it. And I feel like that's so important for me because I use my music and art as a way to, you know, have important conversations and inspire people, hopefully, about queerness and to talk about culture. And for me, it's so important because I also wanted to show that drag has existed in so many cultures in the world. It's not just, you know, because it's popular now, it was not created by RuPaul. It's been around for so long. I was always told that, you know, you should be more like butte and like muscular and more mask. And so dressing up and becoming the Gaijin Empress had a huge impact on me because like I was able to, you know, express myself in ways that I was told not to growing up. And I became a genderless version of myself. I think I also found confidence being able to tap into like a different personality and like find like a fire within me when I perform as the Gaijin Empress, unapologetically queer and Asian.
Badges were quite a thing, yes. I used to wear the double-headed axe, how do I forget the name of those things? The labris.
I had so many pins. Feminist, queer, my pronouns, just a rainbow one that said pride in rainbow like 5 times, and then like a black liberation fist, a rainbow flag one, just all over everything.
Oh, golly. There were so many. There were so many terrible moments.
I do not remember any of that. I've removed it from my mind.
Looking back, I've definitely had some very questionable fashion choices. Like, I know I currently have blue hair. I've had, you know, I've been blonde. I had ash blonde hair. I had turquoise hair. I think at one point of my life, I had a red mohawk, and I looked like a troll doll.
I would get the box dye from Coles and sit at home and bleach my hair. And because I've got like dark hair, it would always be that orange, really gross yellow blonde.
The zip-off pant with lots of pockets, so you can have, you know, your snacks, your cards, your film camera, all on your person at all times. I probably have a version of this outfit in my closet. I definitely have like a little hat. I wouldn't wear it backwards anymore, but still love bright colors and These shorts are really coming back. I've actually seen people wear these pants I used to have that have the zip, where you can remove the pant leg and then you have a short. I'm telling you right now, they're coming back.
I definitely would have been seen out much sort of past their time in a pair of Jeffrey Campbell Leiters, which I do still have because I reckon they might come back and I'm going to hang on to them for that.
Look, the one-piece swimsuit and high heels at a pool party was pretty questionable. It was really great for my development. And to be able to, you know, dress ridiculously, throw on a friend's wig, throw on some Zinker's lipstick and a one-piece swimsuit and just run around like you've got not a care in the world, and be accepted for who you are.
Do we ever feel that comfortable? I mean, really. Even when I was a size 10 with a size 27-inch waist, I was not happy. I thought I was, you know, obese. But contentment, as soon as I transitioned, the day I took my first hormone, I was totally content. I was so happy to be Catherine. And I continue to be. I'm continually in a state of joy. You know, I like to call it gender euphoria. I have gender euphoria.
I don't think I've ever felt comfortable in my body in a gay nightclub, say, you know. But what I've always felt like I could do is dance. So it's got nothing to do with my body, I think, but got to do with a sense of releasing it and it not being part of the issue.
Feeling comfortable in my skin and my body as a queer person is something I'm constantly working on. I don't think it's like set for me yet because I still feel gender dysphoria sometimes when I'm wearing something and it doesn't look the way I imagine in my head.
You know, it's a shame to say that to this day, I haven't felt 100% comfortable or confident with the way I present myself, but I feel like I'm getting there.
I think the first time I felt comfortable in my sort of queerness and sort of entire sort of being has only been really recently, to be completely honest with you.
When I think about it, it really wasn't until recently. Like, it really wasn't until, like, you know, I think I started really coming into myself and becoming more self-confident when I've had enough time with myself to realize that I liked myself and that all the things that I had like tried to change over the years, there were some things that I was so happy that were changing and I was growing in, but there were things that I had changed that I like wanted to take back almost.
I can't speak for everyone in the queer community, but I think gay men, a lot of us do struggle with body image issues. We're so obsessed with youth and age and the way we look. So I feel like it's quite common to feel that way. But having said that, you know, I think things are shifting. I'm in a community that is very diverse now in terms of people's body types and appearances. You know, like some of my closest friends are so body positive, and I feel like when I first came out and would go to a lot of gay men only spaces, there was a lot of body shaming, fat shaming, skinny shaming, body hair shaming, or whatever. Like, you're never like, you know, there's so many types, right? But I feel like we're getting there in our society, in our community, where like you can be whatever type you are and just have to feel good about yourself. I think it's common to sometimes wake up and, you know, have moments of self-doubt and like, oh, why do I look like this? And then other days you wake up and you say, look in the mirror like, yes, this is how I look and I love it.
For me, it's especially my chest. I used to, before I came out as non-binary, I was just mulling over it and I was like, I feel like I'm non-binary, but my boobs are so big. It makes no sense, right? Like feeling like this one part of your body that's seen by everyone in the world as a marker of being a woman. And that was sort of standing in the way of me saying that I'm non-binary. And it's still something I'm sort of dealing with now, but it's become more and more comfortable as I realize that the identity of being non-binary isn't linked to looking androgynous. I think it's often portrayed that way, that a non-binary character, like, which is also still kind of rare and only starting to be more popular now, but you'll often see the non-binary characters sort of leaning towards being androgynous or kind of just looking genderless. And I actually think genderless fashion I think is really cool. Removing like male or female from clothing items is something that I do. But also in terms of language, having genderless is kind of like less, you know, where I'm like, no, I'm genderful. I'm full of it. I'm embracing like all parts of myself and my body. And the fact that my chest isn't flat doesn't take away from my non-binariness, because it shouldn't ever impact that in the first place.
I think drag has had a heavy hand in helping me to unpack things that I experienced growing up that I didn't necessarily understand. You know, I think the thing about drag that I love so much is there is a degree of escapism that is so important. Every time that I was queen, I could sort of feel the possibilities of what I am, who I am. And every time I'd go back to being Tom, I think little by little, I was building a greater understanding of what and who I am and what I represent.
I think I was very like always back and forth for a long time, like growing up until like the past year. I was always like stepping into like different like bodies, but now I like know what I like.
Like I've been out for like probably like 5.5 years. I still think I'm figuring it out, you know, because like fashion's fun. It's fun to play around with.
I'd say to myself, zinc is not lipstick. I'd just say keep going for it and try more. Try more things.
Advice I'd love to give my younger self when I was starting to experiment with fashion would be to look beyond the binary sooner, because I definitely thought I had to like fit into certain boxes or present a certain way. And if I'd taken that pressure away from myself, I think I would have started to feel more confident and comfortable in my body earlier.
Wear it all. Just go. All that money you're saving because you know you want to buy a new computer, just buy a new shirt. Just buy a new shirt. Go for it.
I think the advice I would give to my younger self when exploring fashion is do not get microdermal piercings.
It's not illegal to wear more than one different type of shoe. Please stop wearing combat boots, especially when they're like worn through. Buy some new shoes. Camo is okay. Not everything you have to wear has to be camo.
You can look for ideas through other queer people, and that can help you, guide you, and still won't take away from your individuality and your own growth. When I was younger, I had this like big perception. It's like, oh, I don't want to copy people. I don't want to, you know, I want to do it myself. But it's actually like, oh no, they can help guide you find what you like.
Talk to your fashionable female friends. like you don't have an eye for this. So go and talk to them.
Ooh, if I could go back to that child in his nana's wardrobe, what I would say to him is don't worry about how people are going to view you. Know that the ones that are for you are the ones that will always be for you, you know. And I think that's the main thing. Don't be ashamed. You're amazing.